Hey everybody back in Madison, John Quinlan here, as promised reporting from on the ground in New York City, and also as promised reuniting with my good friend and colleague Harry Waisbren.
Good to see you, John.
Good to see you, Harry. And we are in Argo Coffee, Argo Tea in the Union Square neighborhood, and we've just been catching up a little bit on Occupy Wall Street and associated movements, and especially talking about interconnections with what's been going on back in Wisconsin. And many of you know Harry because he's been posting on some of the same places on Facebook and through Twitter that many of you subscribe to. Harry and I met about 3 or 4 years ago at University of Wisconsin in a presidential rhetoric class, and later worked on the radio together, and just been working on a number of different intersections, especially related to the social media and activism. And Harry's been here on the ground in New York since before the first of the year, right?
Yeah, I moved to New York last August, but of course my heart has never left Madison.
And you just got a unique perspective, because how many folks have that opportunity to be able to link what happened back in Wisconsin with what's happening here in New York City?
More than that, I watched it every step of the way, where we were one of the first organizations, the Job Party. We held the first Wisconsin Solidarity rallies outside of Wisconsin, and it really caught on in a big way. And Move On ran with our lead and brought it to all 50 state capitals after. And since then, and it's been amazing to watch just how deeply people in New York really have followed that occupation model, which I think we're really starting to see on Zuccotti Park right now.
Yeah.
And on the whole, though, and this is something I'm talking about and writing about increasingly, there's a direct progression between the Madison capital occupation, the beginning of Walkerville, the beginning of a parallel tent city called Bloombergville in New York, which is where they learned how to do the General Assemblies, and also where they called to have an Occupy Wall Street General Assembly.
Well, let me jump to a couple of points, because we're going to try to make this one relatively short. Maybe try to revisit these things later in the week. But one of the things I heard you say, and I know it's not quite that simple, but in some ways the Occupy movement may not be as sustainable as something that you're talking about with Bloombergville or some of the other things happening. Could you elaborate on that a bit?
I think just in terms of just phrasing, calling something the Occupy Wall Street movement is not accurate in terms of it's bigger than Wall Street, even if Zuccotti Park would not last forever.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's bigger than that. People calling it the Occupy movement, but at the same point, I think the entire framing and narrative of this is yet to be seen, because we're so in the moment and it's growing and evolving and changing. And frankly, I think Occupy Milwaukee, Occupy Madison, and Wisconsin as a whole is going to change this and develop this narrative. I mean, Wisconsin's a powder keg, what with the recall starting and just all the unrequited enthusiasm that has first sparked the occupation mania in the first place.
What's it been like to be a Wisconsin-identified person in the midst of Occupy Wall Street?
It's been incredible, because as per the Job Party's signature tactic, we wear cheeseheads, and we have cheesehead rallies, and we go to all these Occupy Wall Street events with them. And it's amazing the number of people that walk up to us and say, "Hey, Wisconsin, you started all of this, thank you." It's constant. And I write blog about it, I tweet about it a bit, I try to get them on video when I see them. And it's really on the ground. This is how the people feel. This is what's inspiring them to go join Occupy Wall Street. And it's amazing.
One of the central things that happened in Wisconsin is that the other side tried to marginalize, delegitimize the folks who showed up for those demonstrations, try to say that they were hippies, that they were out of touch, that they were on the fringes, not really real people. A lot of the same things have tried to happen here. Who do you see at Occupy Wall Street?
It's the 99%, of course. I think by its nature, people willing to occupy it, say when I do these things, it's such a deeper level of commitment that you get a less usual cohort of activists. And the best part about the Occupy movement, for lack of a better term, is that it's provided an outlet for all sorts of people that would love to activate, but will not only do electoral work or only work within the confines of democratic affiliated organizations. It's provided a platform for people to really take ownership of their actions and be entrepreneurial, innovate even. And frankly, you see the students that took part in Madison and taking part now not only in New York but across the country at all the occupations. It's really a coming to fruition moment of what John and myself have been talking about since I was a student and wondering where the hell it was to go for student activists to actually do the kind of actions we wanted to do.
So we'll try to be self-reflexive here for just a moment. But what are the other generalities that that's been true that's been said about all of this is that the leadership is very diffuse in terms of what it is they stand for, because it's so multi-issue. You ask any random person and they'll probably come up with a different tactic. But you work for a group with jobs in the title. You obviously have an appreciation for the economic aspects of all of this. Is that one of the unifying aspects of the reason that people are coming out into the streets?
That's absolutely. People are feeling the unfairness in the system very personally in their pocketbooks, and so much of it comes to a sense of justice, where they're struggling to maintain their job or maintain their health care or what have you, and people that tanked the international economy not only have gotten off scot-free, but are more powerful and wealthy than ever. And I think jobs is really the unifying focal point of this, and it's really just such a simple core part of the American dream of what this country and freedom is supposed to be about. The fact that because you have a job you can be independent, economically free. I think it comes down to that, and frankly I think we're going to see an increasing amount of that focus going not only in Wisconsin but in New York and across the world at these occupations.
In Wisconsin, we were heartened and inspired when we realized that at state capitals all over the country, people were taking action reflected, resonant with what we were doing. Do folks here in New York City have that same sense of solidarity, get inspiration from folks that are occupying all over the country and all over the world?
Absolutely. The day after we held Zuccotti Park, when Mayor Bloomberg was going to close it for cleaning, which incidentally we found out from Jesse Russell at Dane 101, he sent it to one of the Occupy email lists we're on. It's the same excuse Scott Walker used, and the same tactics in terms of changing the rules a bit, cutting off certain areas. It was easy to see through the hypocrisy and know that Bloomberg was not to be trusted on that. The day after we held it, we had a big rally in Times Square under the ABC news ticker by the ABC building. And I remember seeing the news coming in, and I had a fantastic picture of it. It goes, Occupy Wall Street goes worldwide, going across the ticker every couple minutes, and the crowd would go wild each and every time. It really was a heartening moment that is hard to put into words.
Can you project out to the next election, maybe 5-10 years out? Is this the kind of movement that is going to evaporate eventually, or do you see it something that's sustainable that will actually accomplish something down the road?
I think it's sustainable in a way we haven't seen before because of how it's inherently related to the technology innovations that make it possible. These occupations are platforms as in media factories. The videos, the audio, the pictures, the blog posts, the photographs. It's amazing all the content that comes out of this, and I think it drives it. It drives the distribution of it, and it makes it something that people want to dig in as much as they can and want to hone their skills. Since Occupy Wall Street's begun, I've received all sorts of requests and offers from people I worked off that went back in when I was working for a startup company saying, we want to build this app for you if it'd be helpful. We want to write this blog for you if it'd be helpful. People look at it as an opportunity to really innovate themselves because they know there's such a inherently nonprofit incentive to experiment and use these technologies and spread it further. So I think you can't separate it for what's going on technologically and with our communication, and it's part and parcel of this bigger outpouring of a cry for change.
As we close out this particular session, I wanted you to maybe speak very specifically to two audiences. One of those folks here on the ground that you're obviously speaking to every day, what are you saying to them about why the Wisconsin experience is important for them to understand and for them to associate with, and vice versa? Why for folks in Wisconsin is what's happening here important to us?
My favorite person I've been able to tell that to on the ground, when we're talking about Wisconsin on the ground, is Michael Moore. I was at a brainstorm for a project called Occupy the Boardroom that he attended and actively participated in. And as he was leaving, he left a little bit early. I ran out after him. I stopped in the elevator and Michael, thank you so much for everything you've done in our state. I can't express how powerful it was to hear that speech of yours and see what's come since. Then I told him, you do realize Wisconsin's ready to blow up again, right? Recall's coming up. And people also know how to occupy in Wisconsin, and Occupy Milwaukee, Occupy Madison, the leaders behind it, influencers behind it. I couldn't be more encouraged, more enthusiastic about the fact that Wisconsin is going to show the whole country again very soon how much we can lead.
For those folks back in Wisconsin, why is what's happening here important?
It's they're running with the model that Wisconsin started. These occupations, as I said, are media factories. People want to come see what it is. It's more than anything even political. It's cultural.
Yeah.
And people want to be a part of it. And I think people want to replicate the experience that so many in Wisconsin are able to have. And we have yet to reach remotely the scale of Wisconsin in terms of 100,000 people in the streets. But what's going on at Zuccotti Park is very similar to what was going on inside the Capitol. And I think that's going to increase in terms of all these other occupations as they get their legs up under them as well, where we can see that model pushed into something that becomes that much more innovative and that much more influential.
And just to puncture with it, I think, for those who doubt that there's a tsunami underneath the surface that's about to break, it's not just manifest in Wisconsin. The fact that it's taken hold in so many different places, including right here in New York, boy, I mean, that's just powerful. Anybody's looking for evidence that there is something powerful here that you need to become involved with. I mean, you see it right here.
Yeah, you need to be there in person. So much of this is about that one-to-one contact.
Yeah.
That's where it's so surreal to be able to have this experience after feeling so guilt-ridden that I wasn't able to spend that much time in the Capitol, much less as part of the Wisconsin Uprising movement, because I was here, did as much as I could to support from afar. But this is our moment now in terms of being inspired reciprocally. We're running with what we've seen in Wisconsin, trying to do it better to inspire Wisconsin that much more again, for you guys to take it up a notch, people on the ground in my beloved state.
All right. Well, Harry Waisbren, thanks. Can you give us a way to get in touch with some of the stuff that you've written and some in your organization?
The Job Party's website's jobparty.us. Fantastic blog, jobparty.us/blog, where I've been covering our day-to-day actions. Tweet a lot at Harry Waisbren at Job Party. And on the whole, the more foundation we can get where we're working together more, the better it's going to be, because I know that Wisconsin's going to be taking the reins on this movement very shortly. And New York needs to be as supportive as possible because that's how we support ourselves.
All right. Well, hey, this has been John Quinlan from the Lower East Side, more or less.
In Greenwich Village, close to Union Square area, I think is the best descriptor.
Still getting reacquainted with the city myself. Anyway, John Quinlan reporting from New York, and we'll have more, especially hearing from Harry about use of social media, something he's near and dear to his own heart, and other tactics of the movement, right from here in New York City all week long. So stay tuned. We'll see you soon.